what's going on, everybody? Hope all is going well. I'm not supposed to be sharing the screen yet, but we are trying to get up and running. Hey, thank you guys so much for being here. I am a little all over the board. I hope to be a little bit more ready than what I am right now, but you got to work with what you got. So I am just getting settled, but I want to start on time. I was going to kind of wait 5 minutes, but I figured let's go ahead and hop right on in. So let me try to straighten that up a little bit, get myself a little bit more situated. Thank you guys for stopping through. I am B plus for you guys that do not know. I still feel like this is crooked. Sorry, y'all, but this is what you're gonna get right now because, like I said, a little bit behind schedule. So, all right. So, I am B plus for you guys that don't know and aren't following the do that. But I'm a Christian hip hop CHH personality. So I have this YouTube channel that I started about 6 years ago where I cover Christian hip hop. And we'll maybe get into a little bit of the backstory in today's quick chat. So I have that. I also have gosh, I'm so sorry, y'all. I also have a radio show that airs on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM channel 140. The name of the show is the Be Positive Music Show. So yeah, make sure you guys, if you don't have the Holy Culture Radio app, I encourage you guys to do that. I'm gonna throw up a QR code so you guys can check that out. Let me get that for you guys really quick. Yeah, so this is a place where you can get 24/7 Christian hip hop, and this is just not just streaming music 24/7. This is around 18 personalities that run every single day. So we have a roster that is Monday through Friday. So we have a roster of shows, a couple morning shows, afternoon show, a couple afternoon shows, and yeah, it's a nice place. It's a nice place. So if you are a fan of Christian hip hop, even if you're not a fan of Christian hip hop, we have some wonderful morning shows that will help you in your life, whether you are working a 9 to 5 or whether you are an entrepreneur. We have shows that cover all that and also Christian hip hop at the same time as well. So I do want to give a quick little overview of what I plan on doing tonight, and I also noticed something else that I want to change really quickly. So you guys bear with me. Yeah, I don't want it to be mirror form. So a quick overview of what I have planned for this evening. So if you saw the thumbnail, if you saw the title of this video, it is all about two things. So we're going to talk about Imposter Syndrome, and we're also going to talk about John Keefe's album that came out in 2019. The name of the album is Olympus. It was not his first album, but for me, it was like his first. It was his first. I don't want to say real body of work because it feels like it's discounting like the Lost Boys and the other project that he had before this project. But it just felt like this was like his most complete, cohesive project. It felt really substantial when it dropped about 5 years ago. So we're going to talk about those two things, and I'm trying to. And I didn't plan this, but I knew I want to talk about Imposter Syndrome because of a really dope conversation that I had about a month ago now. And then I also knew that I wanted to talk about where I wanted to find ways to bring back some of my early content that I had right here on this channel. So early on, the only thing that I was doing on my channel was album reviews. All I did was just pick the album that I enjoyed, pick the album that I liked, and I did an album review of that. So I want to find some clever ways of pulling that content back to the forefront. So I thought it would be fun to take a look at some of my album reviews from the past and just kind of give them a fresh look and just kind of listen through the format. So if you aren't familiar with how I do an album review, I just kind of break it down into 5 categories. So I talk about my 5 favorite bars. I talk about my 4 favorite beats, my 3 favorite tracks, my 2 favorite features, then I'll wrap everything up with one final recap. So I've been doing that since the beginning. So I don't do as many album reviews now, just because, quite frankly, a lot of people don't watch album reviews as much. So I don't do them as much. And then somewhere along the way, not say somewhere along the way like I don't know, but around almost 2.5 years ago now, I was blessed with the opportunity to host my very own Christian hip hop radio show. So in doing that, I can't do everything. I'm married, I have 2 kids, so I can't spend all my time on this hobby that I have. But at the same time, I do feel like God blessed me with this platform, and I'm just trying to the best of my ability to use the platform well. So with that being said, I think I want to kick things off. Well, actually, let me take a quick second really quickly and see one thing, and then I am going to I mentioned the 2 main topics, but I think I'm going to kick things off. I'm going to kick things off probably just with just kind of maybe setting the stage of what imposter syndrome is, and just give like the working definition. And I'm just grabbing that from Wikipedia, and then I'm just going to talk about how I feel like that has impacted me over the years, and just kind of go from there, and then we'll just kind of go as far as I'll find a stopping place at some point, and I'll put a pin in that, and then we'll hop over, and I will react to my picks to John Keefe's album that dropped a few years back. So let's go ahead and hop into this imposter syndrome talk. So I grabbed this definition, and I'm just going to read this for you guys really quickly. So imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments, and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as an imposter. So that's kind of the working definition. And this is one of those things where a lot of times in life where somebody really smart that has like some letters after their name, like a PhD or MD or something like that, or a doctor in front of their name, they'll have like this new term, and then from that new term, they'll give like a diagnosis, not diagnosis, but basically like this new term will come out, and everybody will kind of start using it and applying it to their lives. But this was one of those things that I never really heard about until I'm not sure exactly when I first heard about it, but I never really thought of myself as somebody who struggled with it until I got a little bit older. And then I just kind of start realizing, like, man, I really feel like it's possible that I may be struggling with this a little bit. So I'm trying to think of where to kind of start. Well, actually, before that, let me explore that a little bit. So this idea of imposter syndrome, I really feel like my first job out of college, I was working at a big 4 accounting firm. So I was working at PricewaterhouseCoopers, I had my degree in accounting, but I still just I felt like it was one of those deals where my college basketball coach, his wife, she was a partner at that firm. So it's pretty, I mean, a lot of times you get jobs because of connections. That's just kind of how it works. So I got this job because of a connection, and there were other people who were smarter than me. There were other people who finished well above me in the class there at Wofford, same degree as me, and were unemployed. And then here I am graduating in May and starting in August at a big 4 accounting firm, and just being like, man, I'm in this dope position to excel in my career, like off the bat. And then went through some ups and downs and bumps throughout that, but I just kept having instances throughout my life where I felt like I was in a room where I was like, I just don't know if necessarily just kind of looking at this it's his definition here, like, do my skills, do my talents, do my accomplishments, do they really match up to these other people who don't have these opportunities? Yet here I am feeling like, man, like I I'm not sure that if they ask the right question, I'm going to be sitting here looking like I don't know, and I'm going to be kind of found out. It's kind of like that whole Wizard of Oz thing. Like you find out like behind the curtain that there's it's just a red back there. Um, so I'll kind of put a pin in that, and then we'll kind of keep going. We'll kind of keep going. So moving on. So I ended up watching. I watched a couple videos just about imposter syndrome, and I came across one that talked about 6 different signs. So 6 different signs that, and actually before I talk about these 6 different signs, I do want to go back to my comment about how like a lot of times we have like these doctors or people who are really really smart who come up with these new terms. But one thing I do want to explore tonight is that a lot of these terms aren't always, they're not brand new. And a lot of times you can find instances in the Word of God in the Bible where these things are talked about, where you see characters in the Bible, quite frankly, who dealt with imposter syndrome. And I took a few notes. You have people like Moses, you have people like Elijah, or was it Elijah? Um, I think it was Elijah. I think that's the one who was running from Jezebel. Was it Jezebel, or am I mixing up? Was it Jezebel? Let me just grab it really quickly. Um, yeah, it was Elijah was fleeing from Jezebel. That was in First Kings chapter 19. That story is verses 1 through 18. So that's one of them. Another one is Moses. So Moses doubted his ability, and that's in Exodus chapter 3 and also chapter 4. So we have this new term, or this newer term, imposter syndrome, but I see it throughout the Bible, and probably the biggest one, the one that relates to me the most, that was in we'll get into that a little later, and that's in the book of Judges. So if you are just now joining us, if you saw the title, if you saw the thumbnail, we're talking about 2 different topics tonight: imposter syndrome, and we're going to also be digging into John Keefe's. It wasn't his debut project, but it kind of felt like his debut project. It was, for me, in my opinion, it was like his first cohesive project. And it was released with King's Dream back in 2019. So I'm talking really briefly about imposter syndrome, and then we're going to take a quick pin. We're going to put a pin in that conversation, hop into the John Keefe album review, and then we're going to finish it off with a story about something of how somebody encouraged me as it relates to imposter syndrome. Bet. All right, so let's keep going. So these 6 signs. So I came across this video, and I just want to talk through the 6 signs really quickly. So the first sign that someone may be dealing with imposter syndrome is this, and I'll give the same preface that I saw in the video, is that I'm definitely not a doctor. You should not be self-diagnosing yourself, but at the same time, these are just human things that people go through, and a lot of people are affected by imposter syndrome. I did see one study. I want to say it was by Stanford, basically saying that like 70% of people deal with imposter syndrome at some point on some level. So let's talk about sign number 1. So the first sign is not believing you deserve your success, attributing it to luck rather than your abilities. And from my example, talking about myself, with my first job, I felt like it was just my connections. Like I had my college basketball coach, his wife was a partner, and she helped me get this job. But at the same time, it's like I did graduate with my accounting degree from Wofford. That says a lot. And a lot of people get jobs fresh out of college from Wofford. So it's like, how come I just can't rest on the fact that I have abilities that got me here? So that was one. The other one I thought was super intriguing. The second sign is perfectionism and procrastination as coping mechanisms for feeling inadequacy. So perfectionism and procrastination as coping mechanisms for feeling inadequate. So I think we've all gone through life where we feel inadequate to take on whatever the task may be. But a lot of times perfectionism seems like you're doing the most, but at the same time, like you're a lot of times perfectionists do a really, really good job. And a lot of times procrastinators sometimes, or I am a procrastinator, and I feel like a lot of times, so much sure, but I feel like, not feel like, but this because they're both trying to like they both feel inadequate. So somebody like me will procrastinate because it's like, man, like I don't know if I can pull this off. I don't know if I can pull this off. So you just keep kicking the can down the road, but eventually you got to answer the deadline, and sometimes you come through. And it's a lot of times, like I said, my best work comes under pressure. Then, like on the opposite end of that, we have perfectionism. You feel inadequate, so you spend countless hours pouring over the same detail over and over again, trying something else, all because the same thing, you feel inadequate. So it's like, it's interesting that like you can have like that same feeling of inadequacy, and it can drive one person to just be a perfectionist, and it can drive one person to be a procrastinator. And a lot of times one of those has a more negative connotation than the other. And sometimes they both have a positive, well, I've never heard procrastination be a positive, like have a positive connotation, but sometimes perfectionism gets like a positive, um, connotation to it, but sometimes it can still be coming from a place of inadequacy. So sign number 3, fear of being exposed as a fake, leading to anxiety and self-doubt. Now that's one that, like, a lot of times I'll look up and I'll be in a room where I'm just kind of like, man, like, how did I end up in this room? A great example of that is that how I ended up at Holy Culture Radio. And maybe I'll spend time talking about this like in the future, about how I ended up with Holy Culture. But long story short, at the time of Trig, who is the CEO of Holy Culture, at the time of him meeting me, I had maybe 184 subscribers. Thought nobody was watching my channel. And here I am at a Christian hip hop event. I meet him and he's like, "You do good stuff." And I'm like who? Like me? He's like, "Yeah, you do good stuff." And then we formed a relationship, which was basically like we exchanged information. We shot a few texts over like a 6-month period. And then fast forward 6 months later, and he's like, "Hey, I want you to have a show on Holy Culture." And I'm just kind of like, there's a lot of qualified people, but you're choosing me to be on the squad. So that's just an example of like imposter syndrome. Like you're looking around, and that's also, I think that's one of the other signs as well. So I may be getting ahead of myself. So my next one, and shout out to my homie Bars is in the chat. I'm not sure what his sheesh was in reference to, but appreciate my homie Bars being here in the building, so, or in the virtual building. So number 4, an intense fear of failure and shame associated with mistakes. So that kind of goes without saying. You just kind of feel like, hey, I'm in this room. I'm not sure how I quite got here, but I've been either blessed or I was lucky, or maybe I faked it till I made it, and I'm in this room. But at some point I'm going to make a mistake. And I have an awesome testimony of how today, like, I would feel like in moments past, like this particular sign would have reared its head today in the situation that I was in. But so let's keep going. Number 5 is a need to be the best, feeling overwhelmed in competitive situations. So I don't think I've dealt with that one a lot. Yeah, I don't think I've dealt with that one much, but obviously that's another side. Moving on to number 6, it says constantly comparing your success to others, and that leads to feeling inadequacy. So it's interesting how inadequacy keeps coming up these in a lot of these signs, and I definitely have felt like felt inadequacy around the time when I was getting ready to get married. I was kind of like, whew, like, is this something that I can really like live up to? Oh, definitely around having kids, especially when I found out that I was having the second child. So you're playing man-to-man defense, and then also just like the idea of having like a son. So I had a daughter first, and now I'm having a son, and I'm like, dang, I know how crazy we are. I know how crazy boys and the men that they grow up to be. So I'm like, man, and now I got to raise one. So it was crazy. And it's like, and you do start comparing yourself to the success of others. And I start looking like, man, like my father's a great father. He didn't have an example, and he turned out to be a great father. So now I had a good father, and now how am I going to do? So I'm comparing myself to a ghost. And that's definitely not a good thing as well. So I just want to share some of those quick some of those quick tidbits on imposter syndrome. Like I said, I didn't plan. I planned on talking about John Keith, and I plan on talking about imposter syndrome, but with some of those issues, and we're going to get into that here in a second. So I think this is a good place to stop. I'm going to stop and look at my notes really quickly, just to make sure I've kind of hit everything that I wanted to kick off tonight's time. And yeah, I think that's kind of where I want to leave things as far as imposter syndrome. And but we'll be back. We'll be back, and I'll be telling a quick story about how an individual, and it's somebody that if you follow Christian hip hop, you know who this person is. And this person spoke life into me about a month ago. And I tell you, like, I'm going through like this whole imposter syndrome thing, and like what this brother spoke to me about a month ago, it's stuck in my brain. And it's stuck in my brain in such a way that like I said, it was able to encourage me even today. Like literally, like today, I was in a situation where normally I'd have been like, man, in the midst of some really, really bright people who went to school to do the project that we're working on. And I didn't do that. Everything that I've learned is self-learned. And here I am sitting on people with degrees. And I'm here, and I didn't blink. I sat right there confidently, and I did the job. And everybody told me I did a great job. So I'm speaking from the fact that brother dropped a seed in me, and I felt like it started to take root that night. It took root that night, and I felt like by the morning, like I was seeing like leaf coming through the dirt. And then wouldn't you know, a week later, 3 people within a 4-day, from Sunday to Wednesday, 3 people stopped me and specifically mentioned dealing with imposters. And I was able to Xerox that brother's statements and share it with them. And their minds were blown just as much as mine was. And so, I think that, not that I think, I know that those things need to be shared. So that's what I want to do tonight. But I do want to kind of leave that as a teaser for you guys to stick around, just so you guys can hear that story. But I do run a Christian hip hop radio show. I do run a Christian hip hop YouTube channel. So I want to talk about some music. So I want to talk about some music tonight, and we are going to talk about John Keith. And actually, this actually really kind of ties in. It really ties into even like the inception of this YouTube channel that you guys are watching right now. Like this is a perfect segue, and I promise you I didn't set this up this way. Like when I started my YouTube channel was about 6.5 years ago. And I had this idea of doing album reviews, and I was just like, I would do it in a creative way. I already played the 3, 2, 1, 5 bars, 4 beats, 3 favorite tracks, 2 favorite features, and 1 final recap. So I had that idea. But I was just like, I don't have the super cool radio voice. And I was like, and I don't like how I look on camera. I have a missing tooth right here. I kind of slur. When I get excited, my voice goes up. It doesn't go down. So my voice gets higher, not like this manly, deep voice, or like this really cool radio voice. I was like, I don't have a cool radio voice. So for many years, I wanted to have like a YouTube channel, but I was just like, I don't have the voice to do it. I don't have the voice to do it, so I'm not going to do it. 6.5 decided, like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and start a YouTube channel. But the crazy thing is, you want to know what the crazy thing is? When I started it, I never showed my face. I found music videos of the artists I was talking about, and I did voiceovers for it. And it wasn't that I just did a voiceover. I punched in like for like a 3-minute talk. Oh my gosh. It was so many times where I was just like, I didn't say that right. I didn't say this right. It would take me 30 minutes to record 3 minutes. It was crazy. But it was all because I was just like, I felt inadequate. I was just like, I don't do this. This is crazy. Like, why did I start a YouTube channel? So this is one of the first, and the other cool part about it is I have not watched this album review in probably 5 years. It came out in 2019, and I don't think I've watched it since. So, yep. So it came out. Actually, let's just share my screen. Let's just do that. And let me make sure I share it in the correct way so you guys can hear me, or you guys can hear it. Let me go ahead and drop that. Nope, not that one. There we go. Oh, that's crazy. What's funny is like, so you can see here that this came out in 2019, September 13th. So I put this video out at least, well, over 5 years ago. The album's been out for about 5.5 years, and yeah, and I haven't watched this in a long time. So so I haven't heard the links to that. Man, I was so diligent earlier on, putting a little disclaimer in there and everything. So for me, I don't know which era of this is for me. So I don't know if I did if I did an intro or not. And then also I used to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 all up front and then talk on the back half. And then somewhere along the way, I started doing like the 5 bars, and I would talk about the 5 bars, then the 4 beats, then I would talk about the 4 beats. So I don't know which era. I feel like this is the second era because my background is purple. And I feel like my first era, I don't know what I was doing. Like the colors didn't even they didn't even make sense. So I'm rambling. So depending on which era, I'll probably stop it in between each 5, and we'll just kind of go from there. So this is John Keefe's I think technically it's his third album, I think, but this is his album Olympus from 5.5 years ago. Still to this day, one of my favorite John Keefe albums. So let's go ahead and get to my 5 favorite bars from this project.
Assuming that was the plan to sit at the top. I need my numbers to match my vision. I got a lot. I'm winning hearts. The kids, they singing along. So why can't I shake this feeling? I might be failing God. I'm just saying, it feel like Goku. You ain't real. You like tofu. Deep fry my Bible. That's called soul food. I only hope that's God because I'm insecure. If anybody really got it, yo, I can't be sure. Only my big homie Shotty picked up on all the ball. I done with most of my life ignoring the need for healing, but I realized I didn't even know I was bleeding. I hope this honesty reach somebody that really need it. You wanna know how I'm feeling? Like I'll never be one of you. Lions, tigers, bears, homie, that sound like a snack. I can't keep myself composed. How you settle for a stack? I've been talking to my guy. He said, boy, I got your back and your size and your front. Ain't no way we falling back. Hold up, I've been all logically choosing me when I'm so far from religion. And I can't mess with Ephesians. Don't you call me treasure. I watched God kill his son for things I did with pleasure. Asked my sister how that make her feel. She told me warm and happy. She asked how about you. I told her like it should have never happened. I'm a mess. I can't keep it.
Man, I got the goosebumps because it's like, for me, like I'm telling y'all, like this is probably still my favorite John Keefe album. Like, man, just like that last bar, like the simple story of the gospel, like the story of the gospel spoken to John Keefe made him feel like, God, like that should have never happened. Like you shouldn't have had to do that for me. But it made his sister feel like joy. So it's interesting. So I understand why it's funny reacting to my own top 5, but I almost forgot about that bar, and I feel like that was the last track on the album. And he has a way of doing that, even with his album. Oh gosh, what's the name of the album? He always has like a kind of like a purple type of feel. But Eremos, the Eremos project, it had an ending kind of similar to Paradise 2 from this project. So he maybe he has a formula of how he does his albums, but I really do feel like the way he ended Eremos is very similar to how he ended this project. Yeah, very, very similar. So let's talk through the 5 bars. So the first one, again, is kind of on the theme tonight of imposter syndrome. Like the main bar that I remember from the bar number 5 that I chose is he can't help the feeling that he might be failing God. And it's like, gosh, like I had that thought a lot. Like just even with me having a YouTube channel, my full-time job is in ministry. I work in the world of Bible translation. I feel like I'm a good father. I feel like I'm a good husband. I feel like I'm wanting to be more active in church. Try to be a good sibling. I try to be a good son. Even in all the things that I do, I still feel like a longing to be doing more for the kingdom. I still feel like man, like is there like because I see myself and I feel like I see the ups and the downs, the shortcomings, the times where I missed the mark, and I'm hard enough on myself. I don't need anybody else beating up on me. Like I'm hard on myself, but at the same time, I do try to then put myself around people who have permission to check me as well. So like, but even with all that, I still feel like, man, like B, you should be doing more. Yeah, so I could talk on forever for that. So the bar on number 4, it was just really dope. Like he said, deep fried my Bible. I call that soul food. Like obviously in the South, they deep fry everything. And shout out to my homie Bars. He said I'm definitely great at all them things. I appreciate it. But it's like, man, when you really have a handle on like just how even after salvation, how like filthy your heart can be. It's hard for me to be hard on other people. It will be hard for me, and I've said this a number of times in my lives. It will be hard for me to sit up and make an exposed video on YouTube about another man or woman, knowing that like that whole thing can be made on me too. I don't bat 100%. I don't shoot 100%. Like I just don't. So I just don't. I couldn't have the energy to do that. But anyway. Number 3, I can't remember the bar exactly, but it was something centered around insecurity as well. So still on that theme on tonight of imposter syndrome. But what's crazy, the bar and the second bar in King David was just like, that was just a whole, there's a whole song just about confidence. And I believe that Derek Minor and Joey Vantes were on that project. I mean, not on that project, but on that song. And now it just came back to me in bar number 3. It was talking about he only wrote, he had a song called That's God, THASS, That's God. And the song has so much like braggadocio, I think that's the right word, or like a lot of like machismo, a lot of like just hip hop, just being proud. And like saying like, oh, that's God, like that's God, all that stuff. But like what he said in the bar number 3 that I chose was like, he only wrote that's God because he's insecure. It's like, but like I laugh because like that's how I am too. It's like a lot of times I'm like when I'm boasting, like it's in the Lord, but it can come across as like I feel like I'm handling my business, but like I really am boasting, like, man, like the Lord really helped me through this. And yeah, and Bars remembers like that was the track. Like that's God, like the music video, everything. Like that's the first time like where I first saw Zach. I can't ever pronounce his last name. Zach, the co-producer for Ruslan's channel. That was my first time seeing him in that track. So and Zach also got a shout out in that song. So definitely one of my favorites. And I already talked about the first track. So let's go ahead and keep it moving. Let's keep it moving and let's hop into the 4 beats.
Why you tripping off the ops? We got orders, we can't stop. Why you tripping off the for real? When's the last time that you killed? Till we die, pick a side, feel it right. I've been in my bag, we gon' ride till we die. Pick a side, feel it right. I've been in my bag, we gon' ride till we die. up next. Hey, we up next. Yeah, we up next. Hey, we up next. We up.
All right, so that was, or those were my 4 favorite beats. You guys heard them. Going back, and Bars said it in the chat. Like, I think Bars, I think Bag is probably just like in me listening to him. I think I like Bag a little bit more now. I feel like Up Next is more of like, it's more chill. But back then, for whatever reason, that was my favorite. But Bag is crazy. And also, like, that was Future Indie Tribe. That was Future Indie Tribe. I wonder. I haven't been to any of the Holy Smoke Fest. If you saw my my post with Bars and Beats, and then also my post with Bars and Beats. But then if you saw my my On the Radar marathon, not On the Radar marathon, my Holy Smoke Sessions marathon. You know why, how I feel about the Holy Smoke Fest and how I really want to get to them. But I wonder if they've ever done Bag, since it's a throwback, but at the same time, it's 2 members from the Indie Tribe before JK was a part of Indie Tribe. So let's keep moving, because I don't want to be on here too long, and I still want to get to my story. So let's keep moving. And here it is. My 3 favorite tracks from John Keefe's Olympus.
Oh yeah, who cares? Oh yeah, who cares? Want me to sing, want me to dance, bend over backwards, but I'm not a clown. So go get your laughs somewhere else. If I ain't with it, back on the shelf. Don't know if this is good for my health. I'm supposed to be the one that helps, but now I need a hero. I don't see no. I get lost every day, can't deny that. You come show me the way, take me right back. All I done, I ain't worth not a dime, but you saw me and you left 99. I couldn't tell you when's the last time I did something right.
I had a pause right there because he said, actually, let me just go back really quick, because he's made a reference in a newer song about leaving the 99.
All I done, I ain't worth not a dime, but you saw me and you left 99. I couldn't tell you.
It's the bar from, and maybe Bars, you can help me out in the chat. It's the bar about, I know I'm the one because he left the 99. It's kind of like it's crazy, like a. I don't know if he had this song in mind when he wrote that, or if it's just like a common bar. But I had to stop it to talk about that one real quick.
When's the last time I did something right? Yeah. But even when I'm wrong, you give me paradise. I'm in E10, you and your friends. I feel like David, I'ma go in. Oh, you ain't know what's up. Where you been? Only need one shot, you can't win. Purple rubber around my neck, you think that I was Superman. All the stones they took from Thanos, now I got them on my hand. I pull up inside them.
Yeah, this album is still crazy. Like, John's been dope for a very long time. Like, and he cranks out so many albums. I can't keep up personally. I can't keep up with all the albums that he dropped, or that he is dropping. But so Bars helped me out. So yeah, he had a similar bar on his verse on Bodega. And speaking of Bodega, I did see DJ Mike LV's tweet today saying that Bodega 2 is done. So now we just have to know, or we have to wait to figure out if it's going to come out in November, or are we going to wait to January to get it? Because I don't think nobody's going to drop anything in December. That would be odd if anybody dropped any album in December. But hey, I'm not going to be upset. But I think that this year is so full. Who do we have? We have Jackie Hill Perry dropping an album tomorrow night this time. Somebody else is dropping an album tomorrow night as well. But yeah, so it's been such a good year. I kind of hoping he just kind of waits till next year. But like I said, I'm not complaining if he drops it now. So let's see. Barr said, if you listen to John's earliest projects, yes, he's like the Lost Boys project. Like, I think I heard a song off of that recently, and I was just like, when did this come out? And it came out in 2018. It's crazy. He's been killing it for a long time. Yeah, so so he's gonna drop. Last I heard, he was gonna drop it this month. Wow. Disclaimer, I think. Hey, I'll take it either way. So, but yeah, King David, man, that was a crazy track. And like I said, I believe King David was the one that had Joey Vontaze and Joey Vontaze and Derek Minor on it. So let's keep moving because I want to get to my story. I'm super excited to share it. So because I feel like that's the main course. Like I know I've been talking already for 41 minutes, but like that's the main thing. It's just sharing the story with you guys. So let's get through these last features, and then we can or these two features, then we can hop into the finish our chat on imposter syndrome.
Like shoe do, my demons using voodoo. I plead the blood like Suwu. Your verses smell like doo-doo. You tryna stream like Hulu. I'm tryna free the free world. I probably got a loose screw. When Dilly drop that new. There go your crew and you too. I look just like my father's image, but honestly the mirror is my opposition. Had a talk with Yahweh, now I got a mission. Told me to make brothers out the competition. True
ball, man. OG Minor Johnson in your hood, I got pull, man. Yahweh on my side, Marty mid, fly with dark, you know. I done see my future, it look good in the DeLorean. Please stay out of my space, y'all ain't been poppin' since my space. I ain't tryna hear what you say, look. Touch your granny on Facebook. God is my witness, I've been learning about forgiveness. He said suckers gon' be suckers. Live your life, live your life. I had burdens, they don't cry.
Now I'm just kind of curious of what era I was in when so let me see if I'm doing voiceovers or do I show my face.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? DJ B Plus here, and thank you for checking out this week.
That's back when I said DJ B Plus. Now I just say B Plus.
This recap countdown of John Keith's Olympus project. Now, if you're a follower of my channel, you know that I'm a big fan of Ruslan and the things that he's doing over at King's Dream Entertainment.
Right there.
John Keith is a part of the King's Dream roster, and
man, it's so crazy. It's so crazy to kind of look back at that, and given our conversation tonight about imposter syndrome, and talking about how, like, back then I refused to show my face on YouTube because I was like, I don't like how I look on camera. When I talk, my eyes wander all over the place, or I have a missing tooth, and people are going to see it, and they're also going to say, like, oh, that's why he kind of talks with like a little bit of a slur in his mouth, leans that way, all that type of stuff. But it's really cool to see how, like, 5 years later, a lot of those things are just kind of have kind of fallen away, and just kind of like what No Big Deal was saying in that song, it's not about competition. It's about getting in your bag, whatever your bag is. And like he said, he made bros out of the competition. And I feel like it's so funny going back and listening to this, because it's like that's kind of what my goal is. My goal is to, like, if you guys follow the channel, if you are watching, please subscribe. Like, I have no issues bringing anybody on and onto my radio show or on my YouTube channel, because I really do feel like there is no competition. We need more Christian hip hop personalities. We need more shows. We need more YouTube channels. We need more, I feel like it would just push the culture along. So it really is no competition. So let's see real quick. I honestly think KD inspired me having there it is. See, and Ruslan inspired me as well. Like, it's funny now, like, his Patreon is like a big, huge deal, but like going back to like 2018, 17, I was a part of Ruslan's Patreon. I have old videos of me being in his Patreon, asking him questions. There was like a few of us in there, and like, it's funny because I still have some of them, and they might be still sitting in my queue, not my queue, but in my content section within YouTube, that I never put them out way back then. It'll be interesting to go back and watch those and see Ruslan with his long hair phase and whatever the heck I was looking like back then. So fun stuff. So yeah, so that was a John Keith. That was a look back at John Keith's Olympus project from 2019. Super fun to look back. I may do some more of those where I just kind of pull some of my old album reviews and just kind of chat about them with whoever decides to stop by. And Bar said he missed his long hair, Ruslan. Yeah, Fan Love Fridays. Back when he just used to listen to music. People would be asking the questions about scripture, and he would just kind of dive in. And it was just kind of him with his stream deck plucking away. And he's come such a long way, and definitely super proud. Just to be. It kind of feels like it always feels kind of cool to be a part of something before it blows. And I was a fan of Ruslan from the first time I heard Ruslan. He was on Swoop's mixtape called Spring Fling, and he was on there. And then that's how I found out about the breaks. And then I've just been rocking with Ruslan from the him starting his vlog when he was just doing vlogs, like my day as a rapper. So like from the very, very, very beginning, been rocking with Rus. So shout out to Ruslan. I know he'll never see this, but salute to Ruslan. So, all right, let's get into this story. So it's fitting. I did wear this shirt on purpose. So I'm a part of a network called Build a Better Us. Well, that's the name of the company. If you guys know the name BJ Thompson, he was behind the scenes with Reach Records way back in the beginning. So he's at BJ116 everywhere. BJ Thompson. He wrote a fantastic book. It's actually right there on my shelf called Awaken a Better You. I got hooked up with BJ because I covered him on my radio show, and he invited me into this network of people that he was coaching. So I got involved in that. I'll fast forward a whole lot of that. Long story short, they were having a retreat in Atlanta. This is going back beginning of September. I go out there. It's super dope. Lecrae was one of the speakers there. Andy Mineo was supposed to be one of the speakers there, but he ended up not being able to make it. So guess who just popped through the door last minute? Lecrae. So I got to meet Derek. I got to meet Lecrae. Got to hang out with them for a short period of time. And then I left straight from there, went over, and I was on the Track Stars show. So I was on the Track Stars. Shout out to the Track Stars. I've been following them since the beginning too. So got to be on the Track Stars show. And it was a crazy weekend. But out of all those things I just named, the story that I'm about to share is what blessed me the most. And it's the thing that I'm going to take away as like a tool on my hip for the rest of my life. And I'm going to continue to share. And it's part of the reason why I wanted to share. My whole reason for coming on live is just to share the story, because and like for me, like this whole night has been like really kind of vulnerable, just kind of be open and talk about like something that's like feeling inadequate. It's not something that you just want to like kind of broadcast. Feeling like you have imposter syndrome is not something that you just want to just broadcast. But like here I am, like broadcasting it. And I'm not taking the stream down. I thought about that, like even like while I'm talking at the beginning, I was just like, yeah, I'm taking this down. And even if I do take it down, I'm gonna clip out this conversation just because I feel like it's needed. And I feel like this is like I said, something that I was able to share almost immediately. So this is, let me set the stage. So the Builders Network, it's a group of people who are literally just builders. It's a group of entrepreneurs, people who are authors, people who are voiceover actors for like large corporations, people who are starting, like I said, businesses, people who are just wanting to excel in their job, people who just want to get life coaching to help them get to the next level in life. So that's how I'm involved with the group. But a lot of the people in the Builders Network have a strong faith. So they end up having a separate men's and women's Bible study on the last night. So it's a small, intimate group of people. So we're in there. BJ is sitting like right over my right shoulder, and one of his homeboys, who was not there for the whole Builders Network, he's sitting there with him. So he wasn't there the whole weekend, this guy, but he came for like the men's Bible study. So it's getting a little bit late. We've been talking for about an hour, and they're asking us like different questions about like biblical manhood and like what are things you feel like that are holding you back right now. It's just like a lot of personal questions, and the whole group was throwing ideas around. The very first thing I wrote on my paper was imposter syndrome. That was the very first thing I wrote on the paper. But I was like, I'm not sharing that. Like, I don't know these people. Like, I don't know these people. I'm holding this one close to the vest. So I don't share. Like I said, BJ's sitting right over my right shoulder behind me. And then we've been going for about maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And BJ has a ride home. So he's just kind of like, all right, y'all, I'm finna take off. I'm tired. I'll be back in the morning for our last session. Like that. So we keep talking, and like 5 minutes after BJ left, another person comes in who's homeboys with the homeboy. So like, and the guy walks in, and he has on like this Timberland outfit, boots, shades, Memphis Grizzlies hat on, and he walked in. And he just looked like somebody that you're supposed to know. But so he walked in. I was kind of like, man, somebody else who hasn't been here all day is like popping in. Okay, whatever. So like I said, so he sits where BJ was sitting, and actually before he walked in, I moved to just sit on the floor, just to stretch my legs out. So that guy comes in, he sits where BJ's sitting. So he's sitting like directly across from me. So for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason I was like, you know what? No, I don't know everybody in this group. Yes, there's even two more guys here who literally just walked in here. And I'm like, I feel like I just need to be vulnerable. So I was like, I struggle with imposter syndrome. And I had to start walking all the way back from like that college moment of feeling inadequate with my first job, and walk through like all these scenarios all the way up until like present day. And like the guy who who just walked in, that had the hat on, nose ring, Timberland outfit, stunner shades on, the whole nine. Like, he takes off his glasses and puts them in his pocket, and he looked directly at me and was just like, I'm trying to think of the exact words. I have it written down in my notebook, and I didn't grab my notebook. But he said something to the effect of like, I know the feelings of imposter syndrome. I know them very well. But he was like, but it's a lie. He was like, it's a lie. He was like, and actually before he said that, he was like, before I say what I need to say, like, what's the context of this conversation? So they're like, oh, right, so we're just naming like, what are the big three barriers for you as a man right now? And that's the question that I was answering. And he was like, all right, bet. And he looked at me with just like, I know the feelings you're feeling about imposter syndrome are real. And, I said, I know they feel real, and they are real, but they're a lie. And I was just looking like, I don't know who you are. And he was just like, so he goes on to just talk about like the familiar phrase of favor ain't fair, and how like sometimes God will just favor you to be in certain spaces. He'll favor you to be to curry favor with certain people, and like you can't explain it. God just bless you to have that. So he started talking about favor ain't fair, and he was like, you know that term? I was like, yeah, I grew up in church. He's like, all right, bet. And then he was like, you know, a story that like really has stopped me in my tracks lately. He was like, the story of the parable of the talents. And I was just like, at this point, I was kind of like, I don't know the direction that he's going. I was kind of like, parable of the talents, imposter syndrome, like I'm not seeing the correlation. So he goes on to say, one of the scariest things in the Bible is written in the parable of the talents. And I was just like, we were all just like, how so? He was just like, 5 talents to 3 talents, all the way down to like to do with 1 talent. And the guy with the 1 talent said that like, I know that you are a hard taskmaster, so I took my talent, I buried it in the backyard. This is what you gave me. I'm giving that right back to you. And obviously the people before them, 5 talents, they brought back 5. 3 brought back 3. But this one said, "Hey, I'm giving you back exactly what I gave, what you gave me." And he was like, "You want to know what the Bible called him? A vile and wicked person. The person who God set him up and gave him something, whether he deserved it or not, whether he felt adequate or not. Like, God called that person a vile and wicked person." There's been some people in the Bible, and now this is just me thinking at my seat, I'm like, there's been some people who've done some wild stuff. Like Moses killed somebody. Like David was like stealing a soldier's wife and trying to get him drunk so he could sleep with him, so he could pin the baby on him, and then he ended up having the dude killed. Then he was covered, like he was doing all this crazy stuff. And like, it didn't come out and say that they were vile and wicked, but this person who got something from the Lord and did not steward it well, he called that person a vile and wicked person. And that person said to me, he was just kind of like, that makes me afraid. That makes me want to use each and every gift and opportunity that the Lord has given me. He was like, so who am I to sit back with imposter syndrome when God's blessed me to be in this room? And I was just like, I'm sitting there looking like, oh, that's crazy. And then he starts going through some of those names that I missed, that I listed, like Elisha. Like he started going through the names like Jonah. He starts going through like Moses. And then about time he said that, I was like Gideon. And he was like, exactly. He was like Gideon. And I was just sitting there looking like, huh, here I am in these rooms. And I've been in some crazy rooms. Like, oh my gosh, man, I can say so much. I was in a situation where I was in a job where I was not necessarily wanted anymore. We can say that. That's safe. I wasn't really really wanted anymore. And and I was overseeing about $1 million worth of assets in that job. In a year's time, I was in Africa training people in book skills, and I was managing about $65 million worth of funds. In a year's time, I went from being like not wanted to like managing literally 65 times the amount of money that I was managing. Like I've been, man, the some of the things the Lord has allowed me to witness. Like I've been to 5 out of the 7 continents. But no, the only continent that I haven't been on is Antarctica. Like, and here I am, like, and again, being in rooms and with leaders who have literally sat across from a table from a man in Indonesia, not by myself, in a room of like my colleagues, a 1 million member church. Easy. Like he's and like being in the rooms and like having to speak. And it's like how am I here? This makes no sense. Even down to like the small things, like with Holy Culture Radio, like how people who I know who have dope Christian hip hop content, they have dope shows, they have the voice, they have the look, they have everything. And when Trig picked his team to be on Holy Culture Radio, he picked me, who had no show. All I had was a YouTube channel where I did a few album reviews, and he picked me to be on a squad. So who am I to sit back and be like, man, like, I don't have the right camera. I don't have the right mic. I'm not the best DJ. I'm not the, like, and it almost can take you, and I'm not sure the correlation between like imposter syndrome and having like, what's the word I'm looking for? A victim's mentality. Like there's some correlation there, but I don't want to go down that rabbit trail because I haven't done a whole lot of reading around that topic. But man, like that brother spoke to me, and I was just like, I don't know who you are, but that was crazy. And then I sat and I looked at him, and I was just like, I know him. I know him. So I'm sitting there like, why do I know him? And I was like, no, I just saw him. And so I'm tripping now because number one, he's like blowing my mind, but like this concept of like I don't want to bury my talents. I don't want to bury an opportunity. I don't want to bury a room that God's put me in. Um, and but I'm tripping also because I'm like, I just saw this dude. So literally, people are so now at this moment, other people are like, I have imposter syndrome. I have imposter. So now all the men are starting to like open up around this issue. So people are popcorn around the room talking, and I'm over here on my phone. I'm like, I just saw a dude on YouTube. So I'm in the history of my YouTube scrolling through, and I get to my shorts, and I'm scrolling through. You want to know who this person is? It was J. Paul, the J. Paul that sang with Lecrae "Just Like You," the J. Paul that sang on Cannon's project, Trip Lee's project. I think he was on Derek Minder's project as well. Like that J. Paul, and I'm looking like some sitting there like, oh snap! Like this is crazy. Like I didn't know that was J. Paul. And the other crazy part about it is that like after he told the story about the parable with the talents, he also started talking about being sensitive to the Holy Spirit. And I'm just like, and he tells a real life situation that just happened to him that night. So the night before, he's a carpenter now, like by trade, he's a carpenter, really, really dope carpenter at that. So long story short, he went to this conference. He felt like the Lord told him to go to this conference and try to meet this person. So he goes there, he meets the person. He's like, all right, bet. I met the person. He called me while he was doing like his receiving line. Like he called the guy, the gentleman who's on HGTV called him aside and was talking to him throughout the whole time. And then like bet he was driving home, like, cool. I got to meet him, I got his info, bet. The next day, he felt the Holy Spirit was just like, hey, like you need to go back and talk to him again. He's just like, man, like this is gonna be weird. I just met dude. Now I'm about to go pull up on him again. He gets there. Turns out the dude just got done talking. He missed the dude's whole talk anyway. And but turns out he sees like sorry if I'm butchering the story, J. Paul, if you ever see this. But anyway, long story short, I think he saw like one of his homegirls there, and like they must like waved or something like that. And then like turns out that the husband of his homegirl knew the guy that just got off the stage. And now they just like the whole world just got kind of merged. And now like the guy's able to co-sign for him, like, oh yeah, like he good people. Like, yeah, definitely you should work with him. And like the way God just kind of put that together. So it was just a great time. It was a great time. It was a great conversation. And like I said, it's something that I'm not going to forget. And the crazy part about it all is that happened on like that happened in the midst of me meeting Lecrae, meeting Derek Minor, being on Track Stars. But that's what I remember. I'm never going to forget that interaction with J. Paul, because like he spoke to like a part of me that rears his head from time to time. And I was kind of hit the fast forward button here. But so that happened on a Saturday night. The following Sunday, my nephew comes over to the house and he brings up imposter syndrome, and we talk about it. And I share that story to him, and he's just kind of like, same way I am, is kind of like, wow, like I don't want to bury my talents. I don't. So that happened on Sunday. Tuesday, I get to work, talking to one of my coworkers. She mentions imposter syndrome, and I'm like, do you have 10 minutes? She says yes. I pull up a chair and I sit down. I tell her the story. She's like mind blown. And then I'm part of like I'm part of a small group with a couple of guys. We get on our small group on Wednesday morning. And I always take this call while I go for a walk. So I'm going for a walk. What does he bring up? Imposter syndrome. So like 3 times between Sunday and Wednesday, 3 people stopped me to talk about imposter syndrome. So I literally like that seed that J. Paul planted with me. I really felt like it took root that night, and grass was peeking out of the dirt. About time I laid my head on the pillow. I was like buzzing. I actually recorded a voice note of the conversation so I don't forget it. And then I was able, and like about a whole week, like that thing was like, it was just in me. So I was able to like share that story to them. Now that fruit, I'm passing that seed off to them. Now they have it. So it's just like, yeah, I got to share this story. I got to share the story. And I was going to share it on my radio show, but I didn't. And if I'm being honest, because I kind of chickened out, I was like, maybe I shouldn't be sharing it. But I was like, tonight, I was like, yeah. Actually, about 24 hours ago, I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to share. I'm going live tomorrow. We're going to talk about imposter syndrome. And then I was like, well, what else am I going to do? I'm just not going to get on here and not talk music at all. So I was like, for some reason, John Keith's Olympus popped in my head. So that's how we ended up here tonight. So I say all that to say, like, same thing J. Paul said to me. Like, the feelings of imposter syndrome are real. They're 100% real, but they are a lie. They are a lie. If God has you in that room, as long as you didn't force your way in that door, if God has you in that room, you're supposed to be there. You're supposed to be there, and you should walk in it. You should walk in it. I was just in a room today where they were doing a live podcast recording for Bible translation. And I'm sitting there with two people on my right and left who both went to school for AV. They understand. We have literally it's pretty much the setup that like a Ruslan would have, except like it has like, instead of like a stream deck, it's like a stream deck, but it has like the picture, like the video feeds on it. And like, it was crazy. It was crazy. And they gave me a crash course. Like, okay, this is how you cut between screen to screen. This is the button you cook the cut before seeing the scene, and like it's a panel, and like you're gonna have to kind of feel it and know kind of when somebody else is going to talk and kind of hop in there and get that camera ready and then punch that person. So I'm like, okay, and I sat there confidently, and it was just like, okay, and they walked me through it. We kind of walked through. I kind of gave like my thoughts on a few things. They're like, all right, so you should do it like this. There were a couple portions where I was like, all right, so how do you do this? They were like, bet. And we sat there, we knocked that thing out. I was not nervous at all. I sat there and I was just like, God has me in this room. And Ruslan talks about this all the time. Like I'm stacking skills right now. And I don't know what I'm stacking them for, but I'm pretty sure at some point I'm gonna bookmark this moment, and I'm gonna come back to this live stream, and I'm gonna be like, oh, like that's why God had me doing X, Y, and Z. And I can bookmark the moments of where, like when I was doing these early album reviews where I didn't even want to show my face. I can bookmark these times where I didn't want to go live. And I was texting my homeboy before we got started, like, man, dude, pray for me, because I don't even want to do this. I just want to renege on it all and go to sleep and eat some dinner. Or eat some dinner, then go to sleep. So, but yes, that's what I have for you guys. I really appreciate you guys for stopping by and choosing to kick with. My phone is actually just over here vibrating like crazy. Apparently, I'm a big WNBA fan, and apparently Sabrina Ionescu did something crazy tonight. So everybody's reacting. So I know who won, but I'm going to hop into that. I'm going to eat me some dinner. I'm going to take a peek at that. See if anything is going on. I just heard the chime. I don't know what that means. Yeah. But what I do want to encourage y'all to do I have that note on my phone still? I actually read through the story of Gideon. It's in Judges chapter 6, and it goes through like mid chapter 7. And I talked earlier about those 6 signs of imposter syndrome. It's so crazy how I was able to line up the majority of them to the Gideon story, about like the first one, like not believing that you deserve success. Like Gideon in chapter 6, verse 15, he said that he was from the weakest clan in Manasseh, and he was the least of his family. So he was like feeling like he didn't deserve success because, like, look where I'm from. And then as it relates to perfectionism or procrastination, Gideon asked for a lot of different signs to know if he should really act or not. I don't know if that is, and I understand that could be a little bit of a stretch, but I feel like in my own personal life, like I'll procrastinate because I'm just waiting for the right moment. Like, you got to prove to me that I should be doing this before I do it. And it's like I felt like getting in the way was kind of doing that. Kind of like, okay, I'm not going to move unless I'm 1,000% sure. That kind of feels like procrastination. And then also setting up, like just kicking the can down the road, waiting for the perfect moment can feel like procrastination. So, and then the other one, the fear of being exposed as a fake. Um, Gideon, fearing his family and townsmen, he carried out God's command to tear down the altar of Baal at night rather than by day. So like he was kind of like he kind of snuck away at night to do something God asked him to do. And it just kind of goes on and on. It goes on and on. Like I said, I don't want to go too long, but I do want to encourage you guys just to kind of read through that story. I also want to encourage you guys to keep in mind that if the Lord has called you to be into a space, be confident in it, walk in it. The Lord is faithful, and you never know like the testimony that you're gonna have if you just be confident and walk in that, and just walk in that, that talent that you have, or walk in that opportunity that you may have, to sit confidently in that room. And then sometimes like being confident in the room doesn't mean you have to speak up and say anything. Sometimes you need to sit there and listen. People always say they want to be the smartest person in the room. That's never been what I say. My saying is I want to be the person in the room who has the most perspective. And a lot of times that's just being somewhere and just shutting up and just listening. And sometimes maybe I'm too quiet, but sometimes I would rather be sure of what I'm getting ready to say before I just start shouting out my feelings all the time. So I'm starting to ramble a little bit. So before I ramble too much, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. So really do appreciate you guys rocking with me until the end. Feel free. Let me see. I got a comment from my homie Bars. Man, I appreciate you, man. And I saw your comments, but I was rocking. Yeah. So, yep, it was J. Paul the Carpenter, and he's still doing his thing with music. So he's a good dude. He's a good dude, and he's definitely encouraged me for life. So, so Bars, I appreciate you, man. Everyone else, thank you guys so much for rocking with me. Love you, Bars. Love you too, man. And we'll catch up in a couple of weeks. I know I want to bring Bars back on here really soon. So let me make sure I got everything. Yeah, I'm good. So I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for rocking here with me. I know I was a little all over the board. But I had fun. Hope you guys had fun too. Again, I am B+, and until next time, peace in, confusion out, and be positive.